Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
He's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. Working towards the weekend. Hope your Thursday's been a good one. Appreciate you locking us in here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We got tons to do over the next couple of hours. Pretty shortly, we'll go up to Hoover, Alabama. Joe Healy, D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team, is going to join us coming up at 1:30. We'll have, in the second hour, some sound from Joe Sloan. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, going to join us also from Hoover at 2:15. So lots and lots and lots to do. They're underway in the morning session. This one of particular interest to LSU baseball. Right now in Hoover, it is 3-1. Texas A&M and Auburn doing battle. The Aggies lead 3-1. Some interesting storylines in this one. Jace Laviolette, probably the most draftable player on that Texas A&M team, left the game after being hit on the hand with a pitch. We'll see what materializes from that. But A&M leading right now, playing, I think, for their seasons live right now. Auburn saving Sam Dutman for tomorrow if LSU gets there. So we'll talk about those two teams when we come back in the next segment. I do want to talk some Saints here, specifically Jake Haener. So let's start the way we do every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, news from Adam Schefter earlier today about Jake Haener, the Saints' presumably third-team quarterback to this point after Spencer Rattler took the starting reps when Derek Carr went down last year, and the Saints go ahead and draft Tyler Shook, and then Derek Carr retires. So that feels like it leaves Jake Haener as the third option for this Saints team. And then we get word that he's got an issue with his oblique. He heard it during some extra throws earlier this week, and he may not be able to help the Saints or to participate at all until training camp. Now, there are two layers to this story. One is how that impacts the New Orleans Saints quarterback situation, and two is how it impacts Jake Haener specifically. And I think those are very different because I don't believe that Jake Haener has a viable future in the Saints organization. Now, let me be very clear. There is never I shouldn't say that. There is very rarely a time that it's a terrible idea to take a quarterback. Generally speaking, you want to take a flyer on a quarterback, that's probably a good thing to do. Quarterback's the most important position in all of American sport, and it really helps to have one of them. If you don't, you're in big, big trouble. And even if you do have one, having a capable backup on a cheap deal is a good thing to have. The Saints were in quarterback purgatory after Drew Brees moved on. They tried Jameis Winston. They tried Andy Dalton. They signed Derek Carr. But you always felt like they were looking for the next guy. And I have no problem at all with the New Orleans Saints drafting Jake Haener in the fourth round of the 2023 draft. None at all. And he came in, and some of the folks liked what he did at practice and did a little bit of good in the preseason. And when Derek Carr went out of games, Jake Haener was called upon that week. Now, when the Saints had a week to prepare for said game, after Carr went down, they went to Rattler. The reason they went to Rattler, he's way more talented, and the upside is way, way bigger. The odds are neither one of them are full-time starting quarterbacks for a franchise in the future, but Rattler's upside significantly higher than Haener's. Haener is 6'1". He's 200 pounds. He's got an okay arm. He's an okay athlete. He's not a statue. He doesn't have a weak arm. He's just average across the board. Size, ability, mobility, all that. And Spencer Rattler is going to be the backup quarterback on this team, Tyler Shook. I feel very comfortable saying that. I don't know if confidence is the word, but comfortable saying that. And you look at Jake Haener and what his career arc could be in the NFL, and to me, he's a backup. And he has one thing that most teams will prioritize in a backup, and I think is the reason why the Saints went to him when Derek Carr got hurt. It's because he's very comfortable taking the snap, surveying the defense, and doing something easy. And really, that's what you're looking for out of a backup quarterback. There aren't many backup quarterbacks in the league that can come in and just start ripping 25-yard outs and picking defenses apart. when your backup comes in, you kind of need him to steady the ship because the game plan's been put in for the starter, and the starter takes 95% of the reps, and the backup just needs to function. And Haener can kind of do that. You can call it a positive, you can call it a negative. Either way, when you talk about his completed air yardage average, so not the average the completions go when the play's done, how far he throws it before they catch it. In his NFL career, which is not long, it's only 8 games. But that is 8 games. And in 8 games, his average air yardage per completion is 3.3 yards. That, to me, is a backup. You want to throw the little colloquialism, check down Charlie. You want to, however you want to phrase it. I'm just telling you, for me, that's a guy whose ceiling is a backup. And right now, the Saints kind of have a guy who can back up in Spencer Rattler, and you're going to try Tyler Shook. So to me, when we talk about the Saints and how this affects the Saints, I think less than minimally. Less than minimally. The Saints have a second-round pick, the highest draft pick they've taken in 50 years at quarterback. And they've got Spencer Rattler, who they trusted over Haener last year, and who I think is going to compete for the job and be the backup. You got to have a third quarterback, whether the Saints go sign Teddy Bridgewater or Carson Wentz or whoever, whatever, or whether they keep Jake Haener as a third quarterback. I don't really care. I don't think it's very impactful for the New Orleans Saints. Now, as far as Jake Haener goes, this could be impactful for him. Because right now, at this point in Jake Haener's career with Jake Haener's skill set, there is no more important time than training camp and preseason football. That is Jake Haener's job security. Because he's not going to get a chance to go out there and prove himself in October. That's not happening. I'd be stunned, or the Saints have had 2 injuries and it's a bad scene. But I think there's a reasonable chance in 3 preseason games that Jake Haener is going to have a chance to go out there and play, 4 quarters of football? 5 quarters of football, maybe? Maybe not, but maybe. He's certainly not going to play 5 quarters in the regular season. And you're teetering on that spot where you can wash out of the league because you know that there are going to be some portion of the backup reps that are going to be going to the Jameis Winstons now, the Colt McCoys of year after, McCourt. No, I'm looking for the brothers. One went to UCLA, and now I can't think of it. Whatever. It's a McNown. What? McCown. The McCowns. It could not show up.
I was trying to figure out that.
It wouldn't show up in my brain. But those guys were backups for 10 years.
Yes.
And there's a sizable portion of the backup crop in the NFL that is those guys that have been in the league for 8 or 9 or 12 years, and they're taking the spots. Then you've got young guys that have been drafted, just like Haener, and you better find a way to latch on, or you're going to be sailed down the river. And that's where Haener's approaching. It's only year 3, so maybe not. But this is a big preseason for him to kind of prove he can show up, and now he's a little bit compromised and may not be able to help until training camp. Now, look, it's the end of May. There's 2 months until the Saints report to training camp. So he's got time to rehab this and to rest this and to get back. But if you're looking at this from Haener's perspective, it's like, oh boy, this is a bad deal. If you're looking at this from the Saints' perspective, I just don't see it being a big deal at all. Maybe if Card retired and you didn't have a quarterback and you thought it was going to be Haener and Rattler, even though I think that would be Rattler's job to start with. But at this point, with Tyler Shook in the equation, I just don't see any way, shape, or form that Jake Haener's going to help this Saints team. And if he is asked to do so, something's gone very, very wrong with the first 2 guys on the totem pole. So that's the news of the day before Saints OTAs cranked up. They have just finished OTAs as we speak to you right now, so there will be some media availability, and we may get some news for you later in the show. But as of right now, Jake Haener's non-availability is the story of the day for the Saints. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef, and you've heard me now for over a month talk about Sagrera Farms Premium Beef and how they offer some of the finest beef in the world just north of Baton Rouge. But what I've been telling you, and what is still true, is they serve sides, which is half a cow, and whole cows for you to take home and put in the freezer. Strips, fillets, ribeyes, all that. Well, right now, Memorial Day weekend, grilling season, there is a limited time offer that you are going to want to take them up on. They've got ground beef that they're going to serve in 2-pound packs. Dry aged, 35 to 45 days, no water, no preservatives, no additives, and only one animal is present in that pound and 2 pound pack that you get. One animal. There are places you can go where you may talk about 300 DNAs present just in mass-produced ground beef. Not Sagrera Farms. One animal, one DNA. 2 pound packs, ground beef. You want to make the best burgers you have ever made at home? This is the time to take me up on this offer and call Sean Sagrera. This is his cell phone number. Call Sean. Go out there to Sagrera Farms in Ethel. Pick up your ground beef. You're going to love it, and you're going to be back to get more. It's 225, obviously, right here in Baton Rouge, 719-1723. 719-1723. Call Sean. Say, I'm interested in the ground beef. Got some folks coming over for Memorial Day. Want to get it on the grill. Sean can help you out with that. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. We'll step aside, come back, get you caught up on the goings-on in Hoover. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal folks to work with. They are technical experts in the insurance game. This is not somebody that's going to call you up, sell you a bill of goods they can't capitalize on, say, oh, I'll save you 20%. That's not really realistic in this insurance market. But what what Jonathan Carver and his team can do at Highland Insurance Group is make sure that you are covered. If you're a business owner, you don't know when that car accident's coming on your commercial vehicle. You don't know when that cyber attack is going to hit and how much that could cost if your policy is not in place. What if there's a lawsuit? You're talking about a group of folks here in Baton Rouge that take insurance very seriously and can make sure that your business is taken care of at a fixed cost. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Check them out online, HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Well, I told you we were going to get the latest from Hoover, and I'll tell you that Terrence Keel Jr. just made an incredible catch against the wall, and Texas A&M does lead Auburn 3-1 as they will play on in the 8th inning, I think. My eyes just aren't good enough to tell that. But I will tell you this, in the next segment, we're going to talk to Joe Healy from D1 Baseball, and he will tell us all that's going on. But there is breaking news in the world of college football, and we're certainly going to get to that first. Brett McMurphy reporting via his Twitter, and I'll just read it straight off. Huge news. 2025 college football playoff changes to straight seeding. Top 4 seeds get first-round byes regardless if it won a conference title, sources said. Conference champs still get auto bids, but are seeded based on ranking. This, meaning 2025, will be the final year of a 12-team playoff, with 2026 expanding to 14 or 16 teams. So that's what we're looking at here in college football. And let me tell you, this is the most obvious change I have ever seen. Because when you look up at that board and you see byes for Boise State and Arizona State, we have screwed this thing up. So it was obvious when that happened that we have to do something different. We can't send teams that have played murderous schedules on road trips to first-round opponents while Boise State sits back in Idaho and watches. That doesn't make any sense. Great job beating Utah State. Real proud of you. Thrilled you could go down and beat the San Diego State Aztecs, who all the other playoff teams would have beaten by 50 in their home stadium. But you don't get a bye for that anymore. That was very, very obvious. So this is very, very good. Now, you still are going to give auto bids to conference champions, which I'm not thrilled with. I don't think everybody needs an equal bite to the pie when the pie bites are not equal at all. The SEC and the Big Ten are not equal to the Big 12 in any way, shape, or form. However, I understand that this is progress, and I'll leave it there. I'm not going to fly off the handle at it. I'll fly off the handle if you give Boise State a bye, which is what we did this time around, and we screwed up. I don't like that Indiana got in at all. But we're making progress. And that progress is eventually going towards a 16-team playoff that weeds out the little man and allows the big boys to go play. And you're going to see more of the cool stuff we saw, like Clemson going to Texas and Tennessee going to Ohio State, and you're going to see less of Arizona State getting a bye. Now, you can talk about how well Arizona State played against Texas in the Peach Bowl all you want. That's all well and good. And I'm not here to suggest that in one game over 60 minutes that there aren't some teams that could go play other teams and have a certain result. That's not necessarily the case I'm making. Now, if you play that over time, I know what's going to happen. But in one game, things can happen. But what we can't do is treat these conferences and these schedules equally at all. And this is kudos to whoever's calling these shots, the college football playoff powers that be, that corrected this immediately. This took 1 year. It took one time where we sit there on a Sunday and they flash up the initial playoff and we're all excited because we got 12 teams in and there's more drama than 2 or 4 and they're seeing how it all works out. And then all of a sudden it flashed up on the board and everybody kind of looked at this and went, wait, what now? What did we do? We made what the rule? Okay. Well, we have to do that because that was the rule when we started this thing back in August, but we're not doing that anymore. And that is exactly what should have been done. Now, McMurphy did include how the brackets would have looked if we just did it off straight seeding, which we will do this coming year. What you would have seen would have been a bye for Oregon, a bye for Georgia, the SEC champion, a bye for Texas, who lost the SEC championship, and a bye for Penn State. They won the Big Ten. Your first round matchups would have been 9-seed Boise State against 8-seed Indiana, and Oregon would have gotten that winner as opposed to Ohio State. Okay? That makes more sense. Oregon was undefeated. Penn State was not the Big Ten champ. Oregon was. We carry on. Then you would have had the 12-5 game, Clemson and Notre Dame, and the winner of that game goes to play Penn State instead of SMU. Then you would have had Ohio State as the 6th seed, who had lost to Michigan. We know they tumbled to 6. They play Arizona State in the shoe. The winner of that plays Texas. We would have gotten Texas-Ohio State in the second round at a bowl site. And then SMU gets in as a 10 seed. They play Tennessee. Tennessee smokes them, and Tennessee plays Georgia. And our quarterfinals, instead of featuring SMU, instead of featuring Boise, instead of featuring Arizona State, would have been Oregon, Indiana, Penn State, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee. Now we're talking.
That Penn State, Notre Dame, special.
Now we're talking. I mean, Texas, Ohio State.
Oh, that's crazy too.
Georgia, Tennessee, rivalry. I mean,
yeah,
that's what the people want to see. That's how you decide a champion. You don't decide a champion by sending Boise to the second round. So that to me is positive thinking, and that to me is progress. A 16-team playoff is a lot of teams next year. And I wrestle with that a little bit. I do enjoy the high stakes of college football to a point. I didn't necessarily love the high wire act you had to walk in the BCS or the 4-team CFP. You had to be almost perfect. And I get the people that like that. I'm not necessarily one of them. I think that sometimes you play a bad game in September. That shouldn't derail your entire season. But now when you start to add teams that, have lost 3 and 4 games in a 16-team tournament, or you've lost 2 games in Big 12 play, I think we're teetering. I reserve the right to change my mind on it. I'm not rigid in my thinking. I believe right now, as I sit here and talk to you, that I like 12. I would like 12 with no auto qualifiers. And we take the teams that the committee ranks 1 to 12. We trust teams do it in basketball, and we trust teams to do it in baseball, and I think we can trust teams to do it, the committee to do it in football. And in basketball, the team that is the first team out of the field of 68, I don't have any sympathy for. Like one time that was Texas A&M, and take my Texas A&M thing out of it, okay? That's not the point. At one point, they lost like 8 games in a row. If you want to cry to me after losing 8 games in a row because you got hot late and you think you deserve to be in the field of 68, don't lose 8 in a row. Baseball this year, if Kentucky gets left out of this baseball bracket, well, you went 13 and 17 in the league. Sorry. You should have won 2 more of those games. I don't feel that bad for you. And when you're at a 12-team college football playoff, I did not look at anybody this year, nobody, and say, man, you really should have been in. Like, I think Ole Miss was one of the 12 best teams. Don't lose to Kentucky and Florida. Don't gag in Tiger Stadium. And I think that's where you're on that line. Is the 16th team worthy of competing for the national championship? I don't know. I'd have to see it. I'd have to look. I kind of like 12 right now. But potentially, we could look at this a different day and say, okay, I like the fact, I like how 16 worked there. And that gave us a lot of good matchups and a lot of good games, and I'm good with it. Right now, I feel like it's probably 12. But what I know for sure, these are just hypotheticals and what I think I might consider down the road. What I know for sure is that we're seeding this thing properly now. The committee may get one wrong here or there, but for the most part, in basketball and baseball and now in football, you're going to make your own luck with that committee, for the most part. We cannot have the unbeaten, undisputed number 1 team in the nation in Oregon having to play Ohio State right out of the chute. Like, that was clearly wrong. And we cannot have Boise catching a bye. Like, so I feel like this is great for the sport. I feel like this is another step towards our inevitability where it looks more like the NFL than college football as far as the relevant teams and who plays who. I don't know what it means for the future of conferences. And I don't know what's perfect. But this is the right direction. Last piece here, always LSU. I always tell you, okay, there's a rule change. What's my first thing? Oh, what's LSU? And to me, this is a positive for LSU in that we're inching closer to just including the big boys. This is a positive for LSU that you can still earn your way to an advantageous spot in the college football playoff by taking care of your own business, and that you're not going to be railroaded by conference champions having to get a bye when you've only lost one game in the conference championship game, and now you've got to kowtow to whoever won the Big 12. That's how I feel about LSU here. The SEC champion was always going to be taken care of, so I don't have to worry about that. Now my concern with LSU, what if you're not the SEC champion, and that's not going to be held against you now? Be held against you for a spot, because they're still going to give spots to the conference champion, but not seeding. And seeding, as we saw this past year, was vital in crowning a champion. So this is news from Brett McMurphy. If you're just catching the end of this and you're thinking, well, what is he exactly talking about? I'll read it one more time, and then we'll pause for a break to go to Hoover and chat with Joe Healy. But in 2025, so this year, the college football playoff is going to straight seeding. The top 4 seeds get first-round byes, regardless if you win a conference title. The conference champs still get an auto bid, but you're seeded based on your ranking. So you're not trumping the runner-up in the SEC with the ACC champion, whoever that may be. So I think this is great for the sport. I think it's the right thing to do. And if you look at what the bracket would have been this past year, your matchups are infinitely more interesting because it's a merit-based thing and not a slotting-based thing based on you competed against these teams in their conference, you competed against this teams, and that's the same because we all know it ain't the same. So great news for college football, and it starts this year. So this year, LSU, everybody's looking at them to make a championship run. We'll see if they can pull that off starting on Labor Day weekend. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms. We'll step aside, go to Hoover, Alabama, talk with Joe Healy coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big deal in the bathroom. If there's someone in your life that's aging that wants to stay home but may be at a risk in the bathroom, how about mitigating that risk? Can't take it away, but you can mitigate it. So go ahead, go and put those non-slip floors in. Put guardrails at slippery spots. Walk-in tubs that are more convenient. Showers with a bench that are safer, more comfortable. All that can be done with One Bath and Closets. And the beauty of it is you don't have to call 4 different contractors. It's one call to One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. Check out pictures of their fantastic work. See the testimonials from their satisfied clients. And start the process with a free consultation with Dave. It doesn't cost you anything to sit down with him. It's One Bath and Closets. onebathandclosets.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment. Dave's back on. Coors Light. Choose chill.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, Ice Cubes.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
They are playing on in Hoover, Alabama. Bottom of the 8th inning, Texas A&M 3, Auburn 1. Winner gets LSU tomorrow night from the Hoover Met. That's where we go now. Joe Healy, D1 Baseball's SEC Extra team, is there, being stationed there all week. Good enough to give us a little bit of time here as they play some baseball in front of him. Joe, how are you?
Doing pretty well, Hunt. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you as well. Let's talk about some of the teams whose time is done in Hoover to this point. And I want to start with Kentucky. Is this a nervous week for them at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I said, like, and I wrote this right as they lost, like, if the field came out right now, I'd like them in. The thing about it is, and you've seen this time and again, is that two things happen. One, other teams that are in competition with them improve their resumes, and they can't. And the second thing that happens, and let's not forget that the committee is made up of human beings, and sometimes when you lose that early in the week, by the time we get around to Sunday, Monday, you kind of get forgotten about a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that should matter, but it does seem like it matters sometimes, that what happens more recently is fresher in the mind, and so some of those other bubble teams that maybe help themselves might be a little fresher in that regard. But they're obviously, because they play in the SEC and because they had a pretty decent season at times, they're going to have some metrics that are going to stack up pretty well. But, you know, funny enough, like, one of the best things that can happen to them is Oklahoma keeps winning, because they swept Oklahoma. And if Oklahoma can get in top 25 in RPI, those become quad one wins. So, you know, they're the biggest Oklahoma fans on the planet right now.
Yeah, it's the crazy time about this time of year. People think I'm nuts for monitoring Hawaii scores because those are quad one wins for Oregon State, and I'm crazy for looking at that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to matter for LSU, but I do find it fascinating this time of year. Another team that's gone home is Florida. Are they a 2 for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a chance for them to really, you know, put themselves in a position to maybe play some home games. But yeah, I think that one's pretty cut and dry. I think they're a 2, and honestly, you know, maybe I think I probably said this 2 or 3 times on your air. Just like, now that Luke Heyman is down, like, I just don't know how they continue on and put up a fight wherever they get sent, whether that's, you know, Tallahassee or elsewhere. Like, it's just going to be a tough road for them with all of the injuries.
And then a team that beat them last night into the wee hours of the morning is Ole Miss. Do you feel like they've done enough to play in Oxford next week?
You know, you would think so, but the issue is, it's just, we've talked about this before, it just being kind of a weird year where, you know, the resumes are just so different in so many ways, and they're in, you know, they're like 17 in RPI, and that's fringy, but at the same time they have 16 quad one wins. There's something like, I don't have it in front of me, like 16 and 14 against quad one teams, and like, you look at even teams that are in competition for top 8s, and it's better than those marks against quad one. So it really is going to come down to what the committee values. Now, my hunch is they're probably behind a team like Tennessee. Now, that's just Joe's hunch based on kind of vibes and everything else, but that's kind of where I'm at. But, you know, if they continue winning, obviously they still have a lot of runway to improve their case, but it feels a little light right now.
If Tennessee loses their next game, they would be the poster child for the motto, don't get swept, because it was so ugly for a lot of time, but they just kept getting one, and if you get enough of one, then you do enough, in the SEC at least.
Yeah, and that would have been the case too had Bama beaten them, and I mean, Bama was the exact same thing, where it's like the series wins you look at and it's like, okay, they're kind of lacking, but yeah, they never had those disaster weekends where they get swept and they look terrible. So yeah, you're exactly right. Like, if they're able to pull this off and play some home games, it will be a perfect example of here in the SEC of just don't get swept and take care of the series at home you should take care of, which not Tennessee didn't necessarily do that, but they did enough.
All right, let's look at the game that's currently going on because LSU gets the winner. You saw Cam Tilley start for Auburn, which was on schedule for them last week. He started on Thursday. You saw Justin Lampkin get the ball for Texas A&M. And Ryan Prager pitched the day before. Weston Moss for A&M is out there throwing his 35th pitch right now. So as far as pitching goes, what can LSU kind of expect? I would assume Sam Dutton tomorrow, but what is advantageous for LSU, do you think, the way these two teams look right now?
Yeah, I think you'd want A&M just give it for a couple things. One is that, they've burned their, two best starters and their best bullpen arm right out of the gate. So, you're going to get a team that's a little bit further along in the pitching situation. Second is that it doesn't look like you're going to have Jace Laviolette. He's in the dugout in a cast and looks kind of emotional. He got hit on the hand with a pitch earlier in the game, tried to tough it out and go run. And after a couple of pitches, they pinch ran for him because it looked like he couldn't even really pay attention to what he was doing running at first base because he was in so much pain. So they pulled him out. So it looks like they're not going to have him, in addition to not having Caden Sorrell, who for a lot of the season was their hottest hitter. So right now, A&M just kind of a little bit walking wounded on top of the fact their pitching's further along. So, Auburn, I think, presents a stiffer challenge, but based on the way they played here today, it kind of looks like they might be just kind of eager to get back to Auburn.
Does A&M need to win out all the way through Sunday?
Something like it. I don't think this right now I don't think this win right here is enough. You really got to keep winning if you're A&M. So something like that. If they get to Sunday, I think they're probably in good shape. And then obviously a matchup with LSU is going to provide a good opportunity for them.
How do you feel about LSU today? What if they're one and done against A&M, which would be the worst for their RPI, I guess?
I still feel pretty good about it. I think they're kind of they're the one that I look at that I've been questioned most about being a top 8, but I still feel good about it. You don't want to go one and done here necessarily, but something tells me they'll be okay, both in the resume standpoint and also I think they'll come to play a little bit because look, the benefit of where they are in the bracket is you can just kind of treat that like a series now. Like you're just you're in good shape to just kind of go out there and play and not have to worry about do we get cute with pitching or what. You just go out there and play like it's a weekend and let the chips fall where they are.
Appreciate the time, Joe. Let you get back to some baseball. I know it's busy over there. We'll be following along from far away on SEC Extra on D1 Baseball, and we'll talk next week.
All right, Hunt. See you, buddy.
He is Joe Healy from on site there at the Hoover Met. And as we look at it right now, A&M's going to their second best reliever right now in Caden Wilson. So if you're LSU, Texas A&M, if they win this game, and they've got a 2-run lead in the 8th inning, and they have one out, and Auburn's got a couple on. Texas A&M tomorrow will not have Ryan Prager. He's their ace. Will not have Justin Lampkin, their number 2, who's throwing it better than anybody. Will not have Weston Moss, who's their number 1 reliever, who just threw 35 pitches. And then Caden Wilson is coming into this game right now. Plus, Jace Laviolette, who's their all-time home run leader and most draftable player, is out with a cast on his hand in the dugout. He's got hit by his hand with a pitch. And Caden Sorrell, who's their second most draftable player, has been out for 2 weeks. And then if you want to go all the way back to the beginning of the season, Gavin Gahovic is their third most draftable player, and he hadn't played all year. They have almost nothing left. Now, grit, guts, guile, want to, momentum after 2 wins. But as far as I've told you all year that A&M is super talented and this and that. Like, the A&M team that goes out on the Hoover Met Field tomorrow is not going to be that talented if they beat Auburn. Now, they got work to do because they got a 2-run lead, and Ike Irish and Cooper McMurray are coming up, and we'll get you updated on all that happens there, and I'll let you know. But on the other side of this, Auburn has used its best reliever as well. Cam Tilley started. They went to Chad Myers, who threw 69 pitches. Tilley and Myers are toast. And then Cade Fisher, who did a good job against LSU. If you remember the name, he pitched for Florida in the championship series 2 years ago as a freshman, transferred to Auburn this year, was good in a start against LSU. And he's now working. He's thrown 10 pitches and is theoretically going to come out for the next inning. Maybe not. We'll see. But they've used a lot of their best pitching. Sam Dutton will get the ball, I'm sure, if Auburn plays LSU tomorrow. But he hasn't pitched well at all the last 2 weeks. He threw 3 innings last week and gave up 7 earned runs against Ole Miss. So LSU's just sitting back and waiting. And one of the things that's very, very obvious in this format is that double bye is even more important than it used to be, because you've got teams that play on Tuesday that LSU could be waiting for on Friday. You know how many arms elite arms to win you've got to use to get to that point. Well, LSU's just sitting there using no arms. It is a massive, massive deal. So, again, I don't have a huge preference, and I'm with Joe that I think LSU's okay, but you heard him say that. Like, that's the team he gets asked about more than any. More than Auburn, more than Vanderbilt, more than Georgia, certainly more than Texas, certainly more than Arkansas. I think you are right there in that 5-6 range for SEC national seeds, and I think the SEC is going to get 6. So I think LSU is going to get one of them. And I think if they win tomorrow, they're probably going to get like the 4th or 5th seed. I'm not petrified by any stretch of the imagination at where LSU stands. All I did on Sunday was leave the door open for like, let's just see what happens this week. And right now, I've seen nothing to insinuate that LSU is in any trouble. Now, A&M wins today, and you lose the game tomorrow, and all of a sudden your RPI is 10, and the teams I've been talking about all week get hot. Well, maybe the discussion changes, and you can follow along. I'll have resume reviews up all weekend at LouisianaSports.net, even though we're not going to be doing a show, and I'll let you know how I feel. Right now, I feel fine, and I think LSU's in good shape. And you saw that Baseball America put their latest seeding out today, and they had LSU as the 4 or 5, one of the two, but right there in the middle, not back at 7 where D1 Baseball had them. But tomorrow you're going to take the field, and Cade Anderson's going to start, and even though he's probably going to be on a pitch count of 70 or so, you're going to have Chase Shores, you're going to have Zach Cowan, you're going to have Kason Evans, you're going to have Jaden New, you're going to have whoever you want to throw in that game to finish it. And you win that, you turn around, you give it to Anthony Ianson on Saturday, you're in pretty good shape. LSU is probably, based on opponents, pitching, all that, I would suggest LSU is in the best shape of anybody in the tournament field. I can't, as far as winning the SEC tournament. Now, I don't care anything about winning the SEC tournament. They go and do it, great. Maybe they'll be the number 2 national seed, whatever. But I think LSU's in great shape right now. We'll see. Texas A&M just got a big-time out, a double play, and so they will go to the 9th inning with at least a 2-run lead, and we'll see how it shakes out. I'll be on the air when this game ends, and I'll give you kind of a full thought on where things stand once it goes final. Butch Thompson's out, the Auburn head coach, to kind of complain about a slide at second base and what the shortstop did. But, there was an interference. That's why they got the double play. Well, it was interference, so he didn't slide into the base. That's how that goes. So I'll keep you posted on the goings-on up in Hoover. We did just find out who the Saints' first-team offensive line was at OTAs today, so we'll talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. It's just part of the experience being a Genesis driver. Wonderful customer service. Valet and complimentary maintenance for 3 years. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Valet test drives at the office, at home. They want you to have an experience driving a Genesis. It's a luxury brand of vehicle. You get in the car, you'll tell. The sedan, all the way to the SUV, the entry level to the highest end. Phenomenal brand of vehicles. And what they tell me is that most of you have not been behind the wheel of a Genesis. I have. It's awesome. But if you have not, give them a shot. They're on Airline at Piku, across from Women's Hospital. Stop on by and take one for a spin. See what you think. You're going to love the people you're dealing with. You're going to love the vehicle. And maybe you can be the next Genesis driver from Genesis of Baton Rouge. Check them out online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right, Saints wrapped up little OTAs today, the first day that the media was allowed to go out there and check out the full squad. Of course, they had rookie minicamp back last week. And the most interesting nugget of the day that the media was allowed to check out was how the offensive line lined up. And this is something that we've talked about now since the draft. The Saints have options, and they have heavily invested in that offensive line. You take Cesar Ruiz, first round. You take Trevor Penning, first round. You take Talaiese Fuaga, first round. You take Kelvin Banks, first round. And you've got McCoy, who you took in the second round. That's a lot of draft capital to pump into one position. And it's obviously very, very important to Mickey Loomis and Ireland and all those guys that have been there for a while. And then you've got Kellen Moore, who is now on their page. But what we didn't know is how that was going to line up. Did Trevor Penning do enough at right tackle to warrant staying there? Did Talaiese Fuaga acquit himself well enough at left tackle to stay there? Did they draft Kelvin Banks as a swing guy or with one firm position in mind, be it left tackle where he played at Texas, be it right tackle where there could be a hole that Trevor Penning loses? Well, we got maybe some of the answer today. The Saints began OTAs, and the first offensive line, left tackle, Kelvin Banks, first-round pick, Texas. Left guard, Trevor Penning, moving over from right tackle. You've got McCoy at center, Ruiz at right guard, and Talaiese Fuaga moving over to right tackle, where he starred at Oregon State. I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised. I thought Talaiese Fuaga's performance last year as a rookie left tackle in that league was pretty damn good. And I thought that's where he was going to play. Now, that may be naive, but he felt a little more proven than Kelvin Banks. Like, clearly, you draft a guy ninth, you feel like he's got something. But he's not proven against the edge rushers in the National Football League. He's just measurables at this point. But they feel like that's what they want to look at first. And I say, great. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier this week. If Kelvin Banks hits, and he's as good as you think he is, which clearly you think he's great if he's going to take Taliesin Fuanga's spot, who was as good a rookie as there was at left tackle last year. And Penning shows what he did at right tackle in the run game at guard, and the limitations that he showed you in pass protection on an island at right tackle are lessened greatly by moving him inside to guard. You could have an offensive line that you could control theoretically for 3, 4, 5 years. And that is gold. And it's crazy how fast this can flip, because this time last year, we were looking at that offensive line going, well, we don't think Penning can play a lick at left tackle. Fuaga might be the right tackle. I don't know. What are they going to do? Is Nick Saldiveri good enough to play at guard? And Ruiz, like, he's not very good. Like, it was a mash unit, and we thought it was the complete liability of the team. And I'm not here to tell you that I think the Saints are going to dominate up front this year. But you now know a lot more about Fuaga than you did. You feel, however incrementally, better about Penning than you did. You've got another first-round pick that they feel good enough about to move Fuaga. And then you've got nearly an all-pro center in McCoy. And now, maybe they're not elite in 2025, but maybe they are in 2026. And guess what? They fit the criteria I've been barking about like a clown for 2 years. They're young and they're cheap. They're young and they're cheap. And you've got to get those guys into the fold. So the upside here is awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. There's downside. Maybe Penning can't play guard. He's out the window after this year. You didn't pick up his option. You don't re-sign him. He's gone. Maybe Banks can't play left tackle in the NFL. And then you might have to switch him back. And like, you're not done. Like, this is not etched in stone. Saints have this figured out. Moving on up. But what are we looking here for the Saints? We're looking for upside. I'm not asking for Tyler Shook to make the Pro Bowl this year. I'm asking for him to play to a level where I go, that might work. I'm not asking this offensive line to dominate week in and week out. I'm asking him to look at, this might work. There's something here. And if you can get enough of that out of 2025, we can start to look at 2026 and go, okay, this has a real chance. Again, I'm well aware. It is May. They are not putting on the pads and playing an opponent for 3.5 months. I got it. I'm not trying to overreact. But right now, all the Saints have to show us is a plan, because the product is what it is. It's not going to be that great. But if the plan makes sense, that's all we can hope for at this juncture. And then you start to take your steps. And then you start to evaluate the rest of this draft class. I don't know where any of those guys fit in at this point. I know where Banks fits in. And if that works, you could have the foundation of your offense moving forward under Kellen Moore. We don't know everything about Kellen Moore, but I can tell you this. He called plays behind one of the best offensive lines in football in Dallas. And then he went to LA, and then he went to Philly, and he called plays behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL in Philly. And he scored a lot of points doing it at both of those spots. So clearly, that's a massive deal to him, as it would be for anybody. This has got to be the first thing the Saints hit on. And if it is, it's a great foundational piece moving forward for the franchise. That's it for Saints OTAs here. That's it for hour number 1. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. Incredible deal. Have never told you about this before because it's never happened before. But you don't have to buy a side, which is half a cow, or a whole cow like you generally do from Sagrera Farms. We're talking some of the best beef in the world. Told you about it for a month. You can buy 2-pound packs of ground beef. The best ground beef you will have ever had. And you can do it right now by calling Sean Sagrera. 225-719-1723. We're talking dry age, 30 to 45 days, no water, no preservatives, no additives, and 1 DNA present in that 2 pounds of ground beef. 1 DNA, 1 cow. And a lot of people ask, where's my beef coming from? Is it organic? Where is it raised? Like, where did you walk down and pick some ground beef? Like, where did it come from? You don't have to ask that question when it comes to Sagrera Farms. Several sides are going to come available in the coming weeks. So if you try that ground beef by calling Sean and you think this is something I gotta get, well, get on the list. And there's no deposit necessary. No deposit. If you don't like it, you don't pay for it. That's the promise he's willing to make to you at Sagrera Farms. Call Sean at 225-719-1723. It's 225-719-1723. We'll pause for Sports Center. We'll come back, talk some LSU football, some Joe Slow sound. Next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Tonight, Game 2 of the NBA's West Finals for the Thunder and the Timberwolves. Oklahoma City with a dominant win in Game 1 behind the understated leadership style of league MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
It's just true to my personality. Not always the loudest guy in the room or say too much, but my energy and effort and what I put on the floor speaks louder than anything. And that's just how I try to not only go about the game, but go about life. Actions always mean louder than words, to me especially, so that's just how I go about it.
Game 2 coverage, Thunder and Timberwolves tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio and TV. ESPN's Heather Dinich reports the 12-team college football playoff will change to a traditional seeding model this year. The top 4 teams from the selection committee will get the top 4 seeds and a first-round bye. Last year, the top 4 conference champions were given the top 4 seeds, regardless of their ranking. Game 2 of the NHL's Eastern Final tonight with the Hurricanes hosting the Panthers. Florida, the reigning Cup champs, took Game 1.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Friday, the Pacers came back and snatched Game 1 from the Knicks. So will New York be able to get off the mat, or is this series over? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. One more hour to go in my work week. I am heading up north to Shreveport for a holiday weekend, and this is my favorite time of year in terms of week to week to week. We got Memorial Day weekend, which is always a great one for some family time, and next week there will be a regional in Baton Rouge. Beyond that, I sincerely hope there will be a super regional in Baton Rouge, and I'd really like to get on a jet plane and go to Omaha the week after that, and that's a heck of a month if we can pull that off. We'll start with a good weekend this weekend. I'll get you caught up on Texas A&M and Auburn at the end of this segment. Auburn is down to its final out. Texas A&M is making a pitching change. LSU's got the winner tomorrow in the evening, so if that does go final, I'll be sure to let you know. But Joe Sloan, LSU offensive coordinator, was on with Jacob Hester on Off the Bench this morning. Of course, Joe going to his second year calling the plays for this LSU offense, and very, very excited about that. And he wanted to talk about the identity of this LSU offense, and did so with Jake this morning.
We're definitely a fast offense. We have speed all over the field. And I think the important thing will be is to be able to use that to our advantage to create, misdirection and create issues for the defense. And I think that's where we're going to start. I think what we've done a good job of, and really with Trey'Dez and Bauer and those guys, is having the ability to create some different formations and do some different things, and some of the different pieces on offense to use in multiple ways to get different looks to the defense. And I think our guys have really bought into that, to be able to add, to maybe some of the things that we've already been doing, which I think will be really exciting.
Now, you might listen to that bite as an LSU fan and kind of roll your eyes as it's kind of coach speak. Well, we got to get the ball in space to our fast guys. We're going to do some different things, and kind of roll your eyes at it. And that would make a lot of sense because a lot of coaches speak in cliches like that, and it doesn't really mean a whole lot. I can tell you this. I'm not Vince Lombardi. I'm not Bill Belichick. I'm not name your NFL head coach. But I could go out to spring practice and tell you that offense looked different. They were doing some things that we have not seen them do in games. Now, I'm not here to tell you if they're going to work or not. I have no idea. But I promise it's going to look different. They're doing some misdirection things in the running game, a lot of things in the screen game, putting Xavier Thomas in the backfield. They're doing some things that are different. Xavier Thomas is one of those speed pieces, and Berrien Brown is one of those speed pieces, and Chris Hilton is one of those speed pieces, and Caden Durham is one of those speed pieces. They've got a lot of guys who can really run, and the goal is, okay, how do we make those guys get it going wide open? And that's the plan, is to get them to do that. Now, the guy who's got to facilitate this whole thing is Garrett Nussmeier, and Joe Sloan kind of reacted to year one as a starter for Garrett.
He was as prepared as he could be and had developed as much as he could possibly develop in order to be prepared to play. And then there's experience and development you have to get from play, right? And there's some situations that happened in the season that now he's aware of how those things transpired, within the way he plays the game. And then practicing and preparing year-round to make sure you can avoid some of the negatives, right, and highlight your strengths. And I think that's what he's doing.
There's nothing more impactful than on-job training and learning experience. There's just nothing. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're selling insurance, managing a construction site, teaching third graders. Like, you're going to get better at anything by doing it. You can practice and practice and practice and practice all you want. You got to do it. And Garrett Nussmeier's first chance to go do it this past year. And I thought it went pretty well. But he's got to get better than he was last year for LSU to accomplish anything they're trying to accomplish. If Garrett Nussmeier is the exact same player he was last year, LSU will lose 3 or 4 games. But if he improves, there's no limit on what LSU can do. So Sloan talked about in the offseason, entering year 2, what that's looking like for Garrett Nussmeier.
He's been able to really watch and dive into every bit of his film from the last year, and now take that into spring with having a really good plan on exactly what he wanted to improve on and what we wanted him to improve on in all the different facets of what we do. And I think that's what, when you watch him really from January up until spring ball, that's what he did. And then we were able to kind of reset during spring ball and say, okay, this is what's really getting better. This is what, okay, we need to adjust and maybe shift our focus, or, hey, let's look at our footwork here, or let's look at what we're thinking about here. Something else maybe reared its head a little bit. But I think you just see a calmness and a understanding every day of exactly what he needs to do. And I think that's the piece that experience brings you that is hard to have until you actually play.
On the one hand, it's really good to watch film of Jaden Daniels running Joe Sloan and Mike Denbrock's offense. Like, that's a positive thing, right? Because Jaden Daniels did it as well as you can do it. On the other hand, it's really hard to watch that film and then go do what he did, right? But it's easier to watch film of you, see what you did well, see what you did not do well, and try to fix that. And Garrett Nussmeier could not do that last April. He didn't have any film. Now he does. And so now Garrett Nussmeier's ready to take control of this speed offense. Speed, 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 speed. One of the speed guys in this offense is Aaron Anderson, who kind of under the radar last year. You had the late Kyron Lacey. Mason Taylor was a big piece of what LSU was doing, and candidly, like, not a lot of people, myself included, expected Aaron Anderson to do very much last year, but he did, and he was as productive as anybody they had in the passing game. And Joe Sloan's pretty excited about Aaron Anderson this year.
You talked about Aaron. The way that he's taken from last spring, right? He was kind of an unproven commodity going in, and he was competing with a lot of different guys. Where was he going to fit? And took advantage of some different opportunities, and then really took off from there. But I think you see just a different Aaron this offseason and how he approaches every day, how he's taking care of his body, how he's attacking practice. I couldn't be more proud of him. Being vocal, I mean, he's been awesome. So it's been fun to see.
Aaron Anderson had a light bulb go on last year, and that's really fun to watch for an observer, somebody who covers a team, certainly a fan, because it happens at different speeds for a lot of people. Some folks just show up and they're ready to play. And it doesn't happen often, but some folks just do. And like the example that I kind of use from a baseball perspective is like Alex Bregman showed up, just didn't really need to make an adjustment. Just go, hit. Hit for 3 years, moved on. He was in the minor leagues for a year and a half, hit. But not everybody's like that. And Aaron Anderson wasn't like that. He wasn't ready to play at Alabama. Then he got hurt, and he came to LSU, and he was coming back from the injury. He wasn't ready to play, and then it hit. And a light bulb came on, and he figured it out. And he was awesome last year. Absolutely awesome. And he'll be a huge piece to what they do. Now, one guy that was pretty ready to play when he got here, and speaking of speed, was Caden Durham. And he was phenomenal in his freshman season. Time now for an encore for him. And Joe Sloan spoke about his now sophomore running back.
What Caden was able to do last year, for just maybe the public, you would just see, okay, Caden's a freshman, and you watch him and you go, oh, wow, he's doing such great things for a freshman, for a true freshman. But I would add this. I mean, he didn't get here till the summer, and what he was able to do and pick up in the summer, carry over, I think it speaks to really, one, the program he came from, but how he handles himself mentally and how he carries himself, his maturity. But for a true freshman in the SEC to go out and play the way he did and play through some of the different injuries he was dealing with, yeah, he was pretty dynamic. So I can't wait for him to be able to stay healthy throughout the year. Yeah. And what type of runner he can be week in, week out when he's feeling a little bit better.
That's the thing. We can't know how Caden Durham felt last year. Like, he could tell you, but I know that he had an insert in his cleat, and that can't help you run. And I know that he actually got run down from behind twice last year. And I don't anticipate that's going to happen a lot. Angles are angles and things happen, but like, he's generally the fastest dude on the field. And I think that 100% healthy, you could see even better stuff from him in his sophomore year than his freshman year, and that's exciting. And there's one more piece to this puzzle, and Joe Sloan spoke about what makes him special.
I think he brings so much to the table. He's able to slash and beat people with speed. He's also able to drop his pads and be physical when he needs to. Go all the way back to that run versus South Carolina on third down.
Yeah.
He hit the gap, and when he split those two defenders down the field, it was a pretty impressive run. There's not a lot of guys in the country that do that. So I couldn't be more excited about him.
I think everybody is really excited about Caden Durham and Aaron Anderson and Garrett Nussmeier and this entire LSU offense that's going to take the field in 2025. They should be excellent. The one question mark that I've got, and it's only one on offense. Like I don't have a big question mark of whether Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a better player. I think he is. That should not be a question. The offensive line is a question, and it's Brad Davis and those guys' job to either take those growing up players that were freshmen and sophomores last year, add in your two transfer potential starters, and figure out a way to be a good offensive line. If they're good on the offensive line, they'll be a top 2 or 3 offense in the SEC. I feel comfortable saying that. So if you want our LSU content, you can find it at LouisianaSports.net. Also, Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your podcasts. LSU's got their SEC tournament opponent for tomorrow. It is the Texas A&M Aggies. We'll talk to Chris Blair about it coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com, and every single car on that lot is part of the line that was given the IIHA Top Safety Award. Some of them were Top Safety Pick Plus, but every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, sedan, SUV, all of them, IIHA Top Safety Picks. If you're trying to get behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road, get behind the wheel of a Genesis. When I say Genesis, think luxury vehicle. But when I say luxury vehicle, don't say, I can't afford that. You don't know until you try. Start that buying process at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Go see one of their brand ambassadors. Stop by the dealership. You'll have a wonderful experience. You might surprise yourself and get behind the wheel of a Genesis. The website is awesome. It's functional. It's helpful. And it's got all the cars that are on the lot right there in the inventory. It's GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right, 45 minutes left to go here on this Thursday. As the voice lady mentioned, they were brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. LSU has its opponent now. The Texas A&M Aggies moving on. They have won a couple of games. Auburn headed back to the Plains. I believe they've done enough to be a top 8 national seed with an RPI. As we look at it live, of 5, they got 15 quad 1 wins. Number 1 strength of schedule. I think Auburn is just fine. LSU trying to join them. I think they'll be okay. But you'd like to win tomorrow. And Chris Blair will be there tomorrow at the Hoover Met. He'll be on the call. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, thanks for the time. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Hunt, man. Good to be back with you.
Great to be with you. Would you describe Thursday's loss in Columbia as stunning, jarring to LSU? You had seen Zach Cowan come through time and time again, and can't ask guys to be perfect, and it kind of put LSU's back against the wall. How was the emotion on Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this, and let me preface this answer by saying every time you lose a game, you can't simply say, well, that's baseball. That game in particular last Thursday, we just had an odd feeling. And, Bill Franquez has forgot more LSU baseball than I'll ever know. And as that game got deeper, Bill you could just tell with his body language and in commercial breaks, he was like, I just don't like this. We're allowing a team that has nothing to play for but pride on their home field kind of hang around. And, you had some uncharacteristic base stealing mistakes, which, all in all, I agree with Coach Johnson. I think this team has been very good on the bases and a lot more aggressive. Maybe not as uber aggressive as other teams, but compared to the first 3 seasons, I think, they're a little more aggressive. And I just think it was just one of those nights where, you missed a couple of opportunities. You ran your way out of some scoring opportunities at second and third with less than 2 outs. And yet, again, you let a team hang around and then a crazy ending with who would have thought Zach Cowan throws a wild pitch to score a runner from third? Nobody. Do I think we need to worry about Zach Cowan? Absolutely not. I'm going to put that one in the category, please forgive me, of that was baseball.
In the next 2 days, you handed the ball to Anderson and Ianson, and things went according to plan. How much confidence should LSU have in those 2 guys and when they're on the mound at this point?
Extreme amounts of confidence, just because of what they've done. The body of work speaks for itself. And, I really felt like in Friday and Saturday's game, Hunt, there were a lot of things that LSU did right, or there were opportunities that they didn't mess up. That's kind of how I thought Thursday night's game was going to go. You just steadily add a run or 2 here or there, and suddenly it's a 7-1, 8-1 ball game. And again, that's what didn't happen on Thursday. But with Cade and Anthony Ianson, I just think you feel very good about whatever team you're playing. Doesn't mean they'll always win or always give you the best outing, like we saw a couple of times in their complete game victories. But they don't have to do that for LSU to be successful.
How does Chase Shores look from the broadcast booth?
I like Chase Shores. There's always an immediate jump to, okay, well, looks like Chase has got his stuff and he's looking confident. Let's put him back in that starting role. I don't know that always translates in the same way that, you take a starter who struggles and, they go into the bullpen and suddenly they're doing a great job. Do you want to bring them back? I don't know that. I just know that, Chase Shores is one of those guys that was asked earlier this morning about who, we've always seen, especially that 23 team. And to a certain degree, people might forget last year LSU came to the SEC tournament as the 11th seed. And found their way all the way to the championship game, which is a big reason why I think they were able to punch their ticket to a regional And while everybody was upset LSU didn't get out of Chapel Hill, based on the regular season, I won't say they superseded expectations because that's not true at LSU, but I think they went a lot farther than people thought. And some of that was because we found some guys who had been inconsistent at times throughout the season, step up in big moments. And I think Chase Shores is one of those. I think Maverick Rizzi is another. I think Cooper Williams is one. And, I think Jacob Myers is one. Again, it's not as if they have to come in and pitch, 4 solid shutout innings. But, if you can piece those together in a game you need to win, I think those are the top 4 candidates for me to follow Cowan and if Evans stays in the bullpen or becomes a starter here in the postseason. I think the candidates are there. And, again, having the 1-2 punch of Cade and Anthony, a guy like Chase Shores could be so valuable, not only this week, tomorrow night possibly, but certainly once you get to regional, super regional, and hopefully Omaha.
I was a big curmudgeon at the family get-together this time last year, Thursday, Friday, roll around. I was like, I just need them to lose and go home and get rested. They've done enough. They're not going to be a host, and they didn't end up getting a Sunday. Now, with this format, I'm looking at this going like, I'd kind of rather them only play 2 games, but if they play 3 games this weekend, they're not overextending anything. How do you feel about the format?
No, I was joking earlier today. In fact, when I see Coach Johnson, I'm going to tell him, so, Coach, see what I told you a couple of years ago? Top 4 seeds where it's at, as if he didn't know that. But to me, the way the format changes, and even though Jay was one that voted, one of 3 coaches that voted against it, he wanted to keep it the old method. This is the way to do it because, again, you're right. You're not going to overextend yourself if you find yourself playing for a title on Sunday like they did a year ago, which, you look back to last year, you had to. As we mentioned, but if you can come in every year as a top 4 seed in this type format, I mean, they were talking on the broadcast during the A&M Auburn game. I mean, it seems weird. Nobody has seen the top 4 seeds. They haven't really been hanging around the ballpark. I know Coach Johnson and the team practiced this morning at 10 o'clock over at Hoover High, and I know Jay's going to be on set here in a little bit. But there's almost as if the top 4 are not even in Hoover yet, although we didn't get here till yesterday.
Last one. I appreciate your time here. I know you've got some things to get to over in Hoover, but Stephen Milam last year really found it in Hoover, and it translated to North Carolina. That's a guy that got 2 hits on Saturday, and I liked that. How big would his emergence be in this lineup?
No, it'd be huge. And again, I think I've been saying it for over a month now. I mean, it's what's there because we saw it, during a freshman campaign. Offensively. I think he got snubbed, frankly. Justin LeBron's a great shortstop, but I think Justin LeBron had 8 or 9 errors on the season. Stephen Milam's had 3.
Yeah.
So defensively, I mean, it's one of those deals where I don't care if he bats .000. I mean, defensively, you got to have him there. But we know what he can do offensively. And I'll tell you what I like, and I talked to Jay about it last weekend in Columbia, is the fact that while he's been on this kind of a skid offensively, what you have seen, including those 2 hits, you're starting to see him hit the ball up the middle of the field. And that's a guy who's trying to break out of a slump. Jay said that's something he's working on. Just use the middle of the field, get solid contact. So that Stephen is working on it, and he's probably, a game away from maybe tomorrow night having a great performance and then getting right back on track. Because if he's in there, along with what we've seen Ethan Fry do, what Jared Jones has done consistently, what Daniel Dickens has done consistently, Stanfield. I mean, all of a sudden you're just adding another strong bullet into the arsenal.
Duggar coming with you, or is it just you and Bill on the call this weekend?
I think it'll be just me and Billy.
Okay.
Doug's got to get ready for regional, super regional, and his trip to Omaha. So, there's a lot of planning goes into that. Doug's a very busy man. So, I think it'll be Billy and I. But you never know. I mean, Doug's Doug. He can make a decision on a whim, so he may show up in Hoover. I don't know.
I got sources over there on the golf course. I'll see if he's spotted this weekend, taking the weekend off for regionals.
And the best thing is the temperature this year, right now, the forecast is going to be pretty mild for an SEC tournament, which is right up his alley. He normally brings an arsenal of fans with him, so he may decide with the cooler temperatures to hop in the truck and head over.
Enjoy as much baseball as the Tigers play this weekend. I will see you at the box on Friday and next week for a regional.
You got it, Hunt.
He is Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. You can find him on the call tomorrow. As we mentioned, LSU has their opponent. I'm going to talk a little about that, a little about the entirety of the situation in the SEC for seeding, because this is my last show before they'll announce the seeding. And we've got the top 25 college football games in the last 25 years, and they made a serious omission. We'll do all that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right, this will kind of be my last look at the resume portion of this until they do the selection on air, because I'm out tomorrow and they announce it on Memorial Day when we don't have a show. So I will be updating this daily over at LouisianaSports.net if you're interested. But here's how I feel about where LSU stands right now. and I know there are a lot of people rolling their eyes at this, but I feel like it's my duty to stay on top of this, and if you think it's a waste of time, I understand. LSU did a good job in the regular season, and I think they're fine. But the two metrics that I'm going to look at most closely for the sake of this discussion, because I know that you don't have the metrics in front of you, are RPI and quad one wins. I think those are massively important. I do think the RPI is massively important. I think quad one wins are massively important. For that reason, Vanderbilt is a top 8 national seed. They have 15. First of all, let's start with LSU so we have a baseline. LSU is 8 in the RPI with 13 Q1s. 8 in the RPI, 13 quad ones. Good enough. Vanderbilt is 1 in the RPI with 15 quad ones. They did not play Missouri or South Carolina. They are a lock national seed. That's 1. Texas won 22 SEC games. They are 18-10 in quad one with a 3 RPI. Absolute stone cold lock they're in. That's 2. Arkansas won 20 league games. Their RPI is 4. They are 14-9 in Q1. That's better than LSU. Arkansas, stone cold, lead pipe lop. That's 3. And Auburn dropped from number 2 in the RPI with that loss to Texas A&M to number 5. Auburn is 5 in the RPI with 15 Q1 wins. That's 2 more than LSU. Plus, they swept LSU. I think Auburn's a top 8. I'm locking them in. That's 4. So now we've got 4 spots. And I've got 8 teams for 4 spots. Georgia's one of them. Georgia has 13 quad 1 wins. That's the same as LSU. Their RPI is 2. Number 2 RPI has never been left out of the top 8, but once. Kentucky with that ridiculous road schedule they put together. I think Georgia is very likely a top 8. LSU is next on my list. I think they're very likely a top 8. And here's why. Because the rest of this competition for top 8, North Carolina, RPI is 7, 1 better than LSU. They're 8-5 against Q1. That's 5 less quad 1 wins than LSU has. And they didn't win their conference. I think LSU stacks up just fine with North Carolina, but I think North Carolina is likely a top 8. That would be 7. And then there would be 1 spot left. I've talked about Oregon State routinely. I think their resume stinks. Their RPI is 6. That's great. Quad 1, they have 10 wins and 9 losses. I'm trying to hurt them there with Hawaii, but I think their resume is worse than LSU's at this point, even though their RPI is better. Clemson's RPI is up to 9. They're 9-9 in quad 1. They leaked oil at the end of the regular season. I think LSU's in a better spot than them, but they're lurking. Coastal Carolina, big win total, 45 wins. That leads the country. 26-4 in the Sun Belt. They're 4-5 in Q1. Get them out. 4-5 doesn't work for me. Oregon, RPI is 14. That's a tough look. That's 6 spots behind LSU. 9-1 in quadrant 1 is loud. That's a loud metric. I know it's less than LSU. LSU's got 13 wins, but 9-1 is loud. I'm just telling you, if Oregon wins the Big Ten tournament, I think they're getting a top 8, and that would be my last one. Because I don't think that Oregon State, Clemson, and Coastal deserve it. Florida State's the next one. They're 15th in the RPI, didn't win their league, 17 league wins. I think they're on the outside. I think Tallahassee's a host. I don't think they're a top 8. Right now, LSU is comfortably in. The way I find LSU out is a loss to Texas A&M, which will drop LSU's RPI probably to 10. For reference, Auburn's RPI just dropped 3 spots by losing to Texas A&M. If LSU loses to A&M, their RPI will be out of the top 8. Then you need 2 teams to jump up and snatch spots. And I would guess Oregon and Florida State or Clemson winning the ACC are probably your best 2 shots there. The moral of this story is I do all this math, and that's a lot for you to follow, I gather it. But I've got 4 teams locked in, Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, and Auburn. I've got 3 teams I feel great about, Georgia, LSU, and North Carolina. That's a total of 7 with 1 spot left. So in layman's terms, like 2 teams would have to jump LSU. I don't think that's going to happen. I think LSU is in good shape. I'm saying it can. So, what LSU can do tomorrow is beat Texas A&M. If you didn't know LSU was playing Texas A&M, you just got off work, just got in the car. No one's picking the kids up from school, I guess, anymore because it's summertime. But Texas A&M just beat Auburn. And in the process of the last two games, Texas A&M has burned Ryan Prager, their Friday night starter. They've burned Justin Lampkin, their Saturday starter, who has been great in his last two outings. They burned Weston Moss today, their best bullpen option. They pitched Caden Wilson, their second best option. He only threw 13 pitches. Technically, he could pitch again tomorrow, but he did pitch today. And then from a lineup perspective, Texas A&M is a mash unit. You're now well aware that they've played the whole year without Gavin Grahovic, their big third baseman from last year, who was the SEC Freshman of the Year. In the last 3 weeks, Caden Sorrell broke his hamate bone last week. He's going to be a top 15 pick in next year's draft. He hit the home run off Zach Cowan in College Station to beat LSU in Game 3. He's out for the year. And Jace Laviolette, their big gun, their all-time leader in home runs. Not had a great year, but he's a very talented dude who hit a 3-run home run today, which was all the scoring. Sorry, Caden Kidd hit that home run. Laviolette homered yesterday. But homered yesterday, he probably broke his hamate bone today. He got hit by a pitch, took his base, tried to run. They took him out of the game. He came back in the dugout and had a cast on that hamate area of his hand and did not re-enter. A guy in a cast today, when there's an x-ray machine in the Hoover Met, which they reported, is probably not playing tomorrow. So you're talking about an A&M team without its ace, without its second starter, without its best bullpen guy, and without its top 3 hitters from February. That's who you're playing tomorrow. And you got Cade Anderson and Chase Shores and Zach Cowan and Kason Evans and Jaden Newt and whoever you want to throw. You're going to see, very likely, Miles Patton tomorrow. Now, I'm going to attempt, as I talk, to pull up the box score for Miles Patton's start against LSU. He started Game 3, the one LSU blew at the end with the Sorrell home run, and he did a good job baffling LSU early. It is not power stuff. It's change-up, slider, 91-mile-an-hour fastball. But LSU didn't hit it great early. Now, the line score is not awesome because they got to him finally late. But Patton threw 6 innings that day, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. His ERA at the end of that day was 5 for the season. So I can't really paint you a picture of an SEC team you could realistically see on Friday that's in this kind of state. Like, sure, Missouri could have gotten here, I guess. But A&M is the walking wounded. Now, what A&M has going for them is they know their back's against the wall. They know they have to win. Their intensity level is going to be sky high from the start. Now, Cade Anderson can deflate that. And their intensity level was high from the start today, and they scored in 1 inning. They hit 1 3-run home run. That was all they scored. They didn't score in the 8 other innings. And they're last in the SEC in batting average. So, from a matchup perspective, this is phenomenal for LSU. Cade Anderson saw these Texas A&M Aggie bats in the first game of that series, which actually was on a Saturday. They got rained on Friday. I was at Jazz Fest. Anderson in that start, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 12 strikeouts, and 3 walks. He was awesome. In that game where LSU was held to 1 run, Ryan Prager threw 7 innings. He's burned. Weston Moss threw 2/3 of an inning. He's burned. Caden Wilson threw an inning and a third. He pitched today. You get the point. LSU's in a great spot tomorrow. And I know that this weekend's Twitter festivities would suggest this is just me blowing smoke. But if LSU wins the game tomorrow, LSU is a top 8 national seed lock. I'm not willing to sit here right now with 20 minutes to go in my work week on a Thursday and say that based on the amount of baseball that other teams have to play. And I feel great about LSU right now. And even if LSU loses, I still feel pretty good about getting a top 8 national seed. But it's just that. It's pretty good. Great implies that it's over. Lock implies that it's over. I'm not quite there yet, but I feel good. And I like LSU's matchup tomorrow. And LSU plays great in that stadium. And I think LSU's got a great chance to win. Hand the ball to Anthony Ianson on Saturday. and potentially go play for a conference championship on Sunday. And usually I sit here and say, please don't get to that game. Please don't get to that game. Please don't get to that game. In this case, you've got enough arms. You haven't been overextended. Guys can get some at-bats. As long as you don't have a Jay Laviolette situation where somebody gets hit on the hand, and we'll knock on wood on that, at-bats are a good thing. So I feel great about where LSU stands relative to the tournament as a whole. They just got to go out there and play a good ball game tomorrow against the Texas A&M Aggies. Still one more game to go this evening. Maybe two. They've been two. Yeah, one more game to go this evening in the SEC tournament. And then there will be two more tomorrow. LSU will play the late game on Friday night. Let me do this real quick. We'll play Take It or Leave It at the end. But let me do this. David Ubben put together a list of the top 25 college football games of the last 25 years. The Athletic is putting out a lot of these pieces, best players, best teams, and this is the best games version of that piece. And I feel like there's been a grave injustice done here with one game. And the game I'm talking about is the 9-6 LSU-Alabama game in 2011. It's not on his list of the top 25 games of the quarter century. Now, the top of this list, I have no interest in arguing with. I think it's great. He's got the Vince Young Rose Bowl first. Incredible game. I was a senior in high school, loved it. The Boise, Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl with the hook and ladder and the Statue of Liberty and the proposal. That's great. No issue with that whatsoever. Alabama, Auburn, kick 6 and 13. 3, love it. Fantastic game. The Bush Push, USC, Notre Dame, the win streak, Under the Lights, Charlie Weiss, Matt Leinart, the whole thing, Brady Quinn. I'm fine with that at number 4. Great game, incredible theater. The Baker Mayfield, Jake Fromm Rose Bowl, where they went back and forth, 54-48. I love that game.
That's a classic.
You've got the Ohio State-Miami game where there was a pass interference in the end zone. You get the point. Like, these games are great. The Clemson-Alabama title game where they hit the touchdown in the right corner of the end zone. Classic. I mean, I can say these games, and you immediately recall them, and that's great. But to not have the 9-6 game drives me nuts when I get towards the back end of this list, and I've got games that I don't remember, and nobody should. Nevada, Boise State in 2010, an overtime game. I don't know anything about any of this.
Couldn't even tell you.
It was in 2010. I don't care.
Who was on Nevada back then?
Baylor and TCU in 2014 played a 61-58 game. And they lead the story with the matchup between the eventual Big 12 co-champions and co-college football playoff snubs was a classic in the moment.
In the moment.
What? Baylor, TCU in 2014? I don't think so. And then his 19th game is Central Florida versus South Florida in 2017, what? The war on I-4. And that was the Central Florida team that played LSU in the Fiesta Bowl and claimed a national championship or whatever. No, I mean, give me a break with that as number 19.
Did any LSU games make it?
Yes, the LSU Texas A&M 7 overtime loss made the list, which was a wild game.
Yeah, fine. It was wild,
but to discredit the Alabama LSU 11 game ridiculous. Because it was 9-6 and not 58-54 is ludicrous. That would be like me saying the LSU College World Series game with Wake Forest between Paul Skeens and Rhett Lauder that finished 2-0 on the walk-off home run by Tommy White. Like, that would be like saying, well, that game sucked. Nobody scored. Well, yeah, nobody scored because Paul Skeens and Rhett Lauder were out there like wizards, and Trey Morgan's making the play of the year at first base. There were, let me get my calculator out, 7,000 NFL players on the field that day between LSU and Alabama.
Without a doubt.
It was the greatest collection of talent I've ever seen with two eyes. And to completely dismiss that game and not put it in the top 25 games. Yeah. You want to give me top 5? You want to go kick 6, Vince Young, Boise? Like, fine. I don't have it. I can't disagree with that. Not in the top 25. We're trying too hard not to put one of the greatest games with the greatest collection of talent. I was in the stadium that night, and I will say this ticks LSU fans off. But I can't, I'm not making this up. I have never felt a stadium feel like that pregame for a regular season game in my life. It was completely full an hour before kickoff. Everywhere you looked on the sidelines was a celebrity. There was hatred in the air. There was talent on the field. There were stakes. It was remarkable. And I've seen plenty of great games in Tiger Stadium that felt awesome, and I don't mean to denigrate that. But the circumstances trumped the environment that night. It didn't matter if it was in Bryant-Denny or in Death Valley. It was the circumstance.
Yeah.
And to dismiss that after it went to overtime is absurd. Absurd. How old were you in 2011?
I was, matter of fact, I was 11 years old.
Do you remember that game?
Oh yeah. So I was watching. We had church in the morning, and it went to overtime. And I was like, Mom, I gotta finish this game. Like, I just can't believe that. So the 2019 LSU Alabama matchup didn't make it either. Then
no. Bama never had the ball with a chance to win. Like a lot of pros.
That was just my pros wise.
But the drama wasn't quite there. Like there was drama, but LSU controlled the game.
I just can't believe no LSU game other than the A&M 7 overtime that's crazy to me.
Got a lot of Central Florida and Nevada. It's just a deal where the national writer is throwing a bone to the little guy, and I have no time for that. I have no patience for that. I don't care about that. No one remembers Nevada, Boise State. No one.
Couldn't even tell you a player that came from that game.
No. So how about the LSU Bama game? There are a few guys on that field you might recall.
Oh.
Dante Hightower, Drake Kirkpatrick, Trent Richardson, and you had the offensive line over
Courtney
there.
Upshaw.
DJ Fluker, Courtney Upshaw was on that team for sure. You had Mark Barron on that team, and then
All
for
the running
LSU,
backs.
the running backs were phenomenal. Eddie Lacy was in that game too, and then
all
for
the running
LSU,
backs.
you had Odell, and you had the incredible defensive players with Tyron and Eric Reed, and you had Morris Claiborne and
Kevin
Michael
Minter.
Brockers, Kevin Minters,
Yeah.
Benny Logan, Sam
Oh,
Montgomery, Kiki Mingo. I mean,
Goosebumps right now.
it was just
Goosebumps.
incredible. And the fact that they snubbed it because they didn't score a lot of points is absurd. Put one of those teams out on that field that ain't nobody scoring points on those dudes. It was impossible. But that's my story. I'll go ahead and stick on to it. We'll come back and close things out here. It's a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Let me tell you about my friend Sean Sagrera and Sagrera Farms one more time before I get out of here. The summer is time to put some meat on the grill, and if you're looking for the finest meat, really anywhere in the world, you may have it right here, just outside Baton Rouge. I'm serious. Talking about intramuscular fat scores 12, 13, 14, 15, far north of the cutoff for prime. And he can guarantee it. So go up and see him. And I'm telling you that he's got a deal now he's never had before. Sean works in sides and whole cows. And you buy them, you bring them back, put them in the freezer. But for limited time only, they've got 2-pound packs of ground beef. If you want to make best burgers you have ever made at home, Sagrera Farms can help you out with that. I'll give you Sean's number in a second. Let me tell you, these are dry-aged, 35 to 45 days, no water, no preservatives, no additives. You're talking about no added hormones, all natural, raised on grass, finished on grain. Every cow at Sagrera Farms comes with a 3-year journey. And you can be assured when you pick up that 2-pound pack that you're getting one cow's DNA is going to be in there. Not just a hodgepodge mass-produced and shoved out. One cow. It's going to be the finest beef you have ever cooked at home. And Sean promises you that. And if you don't like it, you don't pay for it. No deposits on the front end, no payment if you don't like it. Just call Sean at 225-719-1723. 225-719-1723. That's Sagrera Farms. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. Jordan Kitchens, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, let's start this bad boy off. After reaching the playoffs for the first time in 10 years last season, the Detroit Tigers own the best record in the MLB through 50 games at 33-17. Take it or leave it that the Tigers will make a championship run this season.
I will leave it, but they've got maybe the best ace in Tarek Skubal, and they got my guy Javi Baez, former Cub, should have won the MVP, Yelich stole it, World Series champ, one of my favorite Cubs of all time, and I'm thrilled that he's hitting the ball a little bit and having a little bit more fun. I still don't think they're going to win the World Series.
Right, but it's still good to see progress. All
It
about
is.
progress.
Detroit's playing well. I like their
progress.
uniforms, too. About everyone hates them, but I love them.
Okay, the last 7 NBA MVPs are from foreign countries. Giannis twice, Jokic 3 times, Embiid, and now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yep.
Is basketball still the U.S. sport, or has the world caught up? Take it or leave it.
Still the U.S. sport. I'll take that. But the world has caught up collectively. Not one country. The world has caught us collectively. I think if you put our best 5 out there and their best 5, we're going to have a hard time. And that was not the case 10, 12, 15 years ago. It probably is now. But that's just good for the NBA. It's entertaining. It's compelling. I mean, you know, it's not as if there's a lot. I'll just put it this way. There's a lot of great players, and I don't really care where they come from. They're just really good to watch, and that's the case here in America. We got just a lot of. I mean, Major League Baseball has just got a huge Latin and now Asian influence, and I don't really care what language they speak or where they were born. They can play. I like to watch them, and we get to watch them here. So
the Dodgers basically have a pipeline to
Yeah.
Japan at this point.
Cubs do too. We got our second best pitcher, and right now our most productive hitter hail from Japan. So we like that too. All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Thursday. Still 2 games to play in Hoover this afternoon. Tennessee and Texas will play at 3 o'clock, so in 5 minutes. That's a huge game for the Tennessee Vols. If they win it behind Liam Doyle, they are inching toward a host. They lose that game, I don't know if they can get there. For Texas, doesn't matter at all. You're talking about what's probably the number 1 national seed. Oklahoma and Vanderbilt this evening. I don't think either of them are really playing for much. Oklahoma could theoretically inch toward the host bubble. I don't think so. Vanderbilt locked in a national seed with that high RPI and 19 SEC wins without playing Missouri or South Carolina. So that's today. LSU in the nightcap tomorrow. Very much looking forward to watching that. I'm out of here tomorrow. Musso will be in for me. He'll talk all things SEC tournament, certainly talk Preston Guy with some football there. I will be on LouisianaSports.net updating things as they go on this weekend. Can enjoy some family time, and I'll be back in the saddle on Tuesday, and we'll have our entire Field of 64 and what is coming to Baton Rouge Regional at that time. So everyone have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. If you're looking for anything on demand, you can catch Hunt Palmer Show wherever you find your sound. Matt's about to drive you home here on this Thursday. I'm out of here. Going to hit the interstate, but looking forward to be back on Tuesday talking some baseball on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.